This is where it goes, oh, but just white the whites. This is it. The heights, knows what I will hit.
Pretty much.
Yeah, I got that. I did get something cool mail, though.
You got what?
I mean,
oh.
The very first battle flag of the United States of America.
Oh, cool. Now let's check that bad boy out.
It was a knight's flag, a guy who was knighted at the Battle of Lexington. So they flew this flag at the Battle of Lexington.
Nice.
And so they call it the very first flag of the Revolutionary War.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. So I'm going to hang this and piss off my neighbors. They'll look at me weird like, what is that? And then they'll never look it up and figure it out. But hey, I'll know.
All right. So we are live. Welcome, everyone, to the Mystic Syndicate. I am Brian, your interviewer this evening. And tonight we're doing something completely different. We're not playing Dungeons and Dragons. We have 10 questions for Ed Bell here this evening. Ed is the player who plays Sir Tomas Waverly of the Yeomanry. I'm sorry.
Excuse me. Tomas Waverly.
Tomas, sorry. And we still do that. I mean, geez, what? We've been 34 episodes? Tomas. Tomas. So, yeah, Ed, so you're actually going to be our first interview of this session. We hope to do one at least once a month. I don't know who's next, but Ed volunteered to step into the ring. It's only 10 questions. Some of the questions you may or may not know. I did post some of them on the Discord. Some of them I did not post on the Discord. So yeah, there may be some trickies, but it's in the spirit of the game and the spirit of fun in general. So folks watching at home, thank you all very much for dropping by. If you're watching this later, make sure to check us out on the Mystic Syndicate YouTube channel. We have all of our videos there, and you can take a look and see what you think. We also have a podcast. Make sure to go over to the Mystic Syndicate I think it's the Mystic Syndicate .podbean.com. You can catch our website there, or you can find us on iTunes. So make sure to check us out on iTunes. I think we're up to 12 episodes are now live on iTunes. Wow. So make sure to check us out there. All right. So Ed, you feeling good about this?
I feel about as good about it as I do about anything in life.
Cool. Okay, good. I'm glad you came, I guess, prepared.
Always. I got my beatbox drink. Oh, there we go. And I got my Mean Tweet shirt. We're ready to roll.
Yeah. So here we go. Alrighty. So one thing, and I know I've probably asked this of you before, but of course the listeners would probably like to know, how long have you actually been gaming? Tabletop role-playing games?
Yeah, so I originally started playing D&D with a family friend in 1978. And then roughly at that time, it's those first games when you're a kid back in the 70s and the red books, hey, you want to play Dungeons and Dragons? Sure. And you don't get any of the idea or anything like that. And then, when I was in sixth grade, Mike Conant, who's another player in Mystic Syndicate, and Princess Celene in the Mystic Syndicate, who's I've been friends with since the fourth grade, got the red box and keep on the Borderlands. Here we come. So yeah, we started way back then. A little bit after that, Mike Gano, aka Pav from our game, also joined. So really, these guys and I, we've been playing since 6th, 7th grade and carrying it forward. So, gee, now you got to make me do math, but we'll just say more than 40 years.
Wow. Okay, that's wonderful. 40 years, 40 plus years. That is.
Yeah, it's right in that area.
Yeah, that's great. That's wonderful stuff. Now, I know you were also in the service. Did you get a chance to play while you were in the service? I know a lot of service members do play, especially nowadays, but I didn't know back in the 80s when you were in service, if I remember correctly, did you get to do any gaming while you were in service?
Sure did. I mean, again, as the the Drunkards and Dragons crew, as you call them. Let's throw in there Glenn Harvey, aka Albie, is a really great friend of mine. He and I met literally when we arrived in Germany, and one of the things that kind of caught us off guard is both of us played D&D, and so literally we could be anywhere doing anything, and one of two things would come out of Glenn's pocket: either a D20 and a D6, or a couple dice he'd have in his pocket, or a hacky sack. And we'd play hacky sack. If we were standing around a bus, anybody who's been in the military, you're standing around and, hey, play hacky sack. Riding on the bus, we play D&D, a lot of pickup games, a lot of Bizarro games. And then also Russell Holmes, who also plays in our game, he and I met also in the military, and he and I played, and we played in a different game. We played Harn. So a friend of his was a DM or game master in Harn, and they were also in the SCA together. So I dabbled a little bit in the SCA, and then we played Harn together, played a little bit of spillover D&D. We all kind of know all the same people and things like that. We were in I don't know if it's the Mexican infantry or military intelligence. Their MI kind of confuses me, but yeah, we all knew all the same people, all linguists, and just had a great time playing D&D and all over the world, exploring castles and stuff together. I know you happen to be in Germany at the same time we were, and I guarantee you've probably been to Rothenburg and Nuremberg and seen all the castles there. Imagine being a gamer is the best time in the world and the best time to go do it. So, yep, back in the military days.
Nice. So, what is your favorite game system?
Honestly, my mechanics or actual story wise.
Mechanics.
Actually, I would probably say D20 mechanics because it's so fast. You need a D20, some damage dice. That's it. And you can fake the damage dice if you know a little bit of math. I am kind of partial to THAC0 just because, well, I'm old. But when D20 came out, that I personally think third edition and D20 role playing really changed the D&D scope in the world and what we were looking at in role playing. And so, yeah, I think as much as I hate to say it, but I always hedge it. Monty Cook from Wizards of the Coast really was the driving force behind D20, and he was a really creative individual. If you've never checked out his game, Tullus, PTLOUS, that was the homeworld that he played and play tested the rules in. You could definitely tell it's a great expansion if you don't have it. And I love Monty Cook. So everything else about WotC I fucking hate. But I'll give Monty some credit.
Okay. Totally
Oh, wait a minute.
understand. Mm-hmm.
Did you put the little disclaimer down there? This is PG-13. So.
Oh well, it's always 18 plus. I don't.
Good.
Yeah,
Yep.
I mean, I don't want to. We don't want to cause too many trouble. Too much trouble. All right. So as far as fantasy worlds go, which one is your favorite fantasy world?
It's hands down. It's Greyhawk. I mean, it's one of the originals I played with. I've been through all the box sets. Even played some Living Greyhawk when third edition came out and the Living Greyhawk transitioned over, which was through the RPGA. And it is classic. It's high fantasy. It's well thought out. It's just enough fluff that you can get away with and not be overburdened by rules. And there's some great supplements out there. Forgotten Realms is a close second, but definitely um, uh, World of Greyhawk. And then every now and then, some of my older players will tell you if I break out Ravenloft, just run away.
Okay, that's really good. I'm a big fan of Ravenloft as well, but Greyhawk, just like you, was my first introduction, and yeah, Gygax absolutely loved the things that he put out there. Alrighty, so what do you think has been the worst thing that has happened in the game so far?
So now we're shifting gears. It sounds like, and we're now actually shifting the campaign. And I will say, losing my squire Shirley Templar was the worst thing that's happened to me so far. She died way too young. I don't know, but I did try to honor her and and I'll carry her name forward as only Sir Tomas Waverly can do. And well, maybe who knows? Maybe we'll have a Valeria Conan thing where she'll look at me and say, "Hey, dumbass, get up. Do you want to live forever?" or something like that, and we go from there.
Okay. Yeah. Alrighty. Let's see. Now, so what do you think has been the funniest thing that has happened so far in the campaign?
Uh, I think we all know Toby Wildseed was the wild man. He was, for those of you who don't know, and you might want to go back and look at some of the earlier episodes. And first of all, with regards to Shirley Templar, she passed away recently while we were fighting a dragon, and she probably shouldn't have been put in that situation. Bad on my part, but now Toby would have put her in that situation. He would have just exploited her like nobody's business. And we're talking about my character Toby Wildseed, who was a Kender in Greyhawk. So I figured out a way in the backstory to get him into Greyhawk, and I'm like, oh, that's a pretty funny idea. What would a Kender do in Greyhawk? And then I was having a little bit of struggle role playing him, and I reached out to you, Brian. I said, let's turn him into a villain, and that was like probably the funniest and funnest game out so far that we've been through. So
I would say probably my favorite Toby memory was when you were in the city of True Light and you're trying to convince these people that the telescope was a weapon, and they literally mobbed the cart that the telescope was on. I'm like, oh Lord, this is getting too crazy. That's one of my favorite moments.
And the funny thing is, I guarantee a telescope was worth so much money. We have Russ that complains as Yarn, who complains about never having any money for magic items. We could have sold that telescope and made a mega ton of money.
Yeah.
And we ruined it. I mean, we destroyed it. We beat on it. We slept in it. The mob took it over. And then Toby turned into a vampire, and all shit was all bets were off. So I thought it was great. So that was the high point. I thought when that happened, I thought this will never be topped, but we're getting close. So
yeah, there's been some good ones. Okay.
Yes.
So who is your favorite character teammate and why?
Wow.
I know.
That's a great question. So who would I call my favorite team? The funny thing is, and I've played Tomas like this intentionally, is that he came into the party late because I swapped out characters, and so he has struggled with the other players, bonding with them at times. And but I would have to say, if I had to bet, it would probably be Kellix, who's also now gone. Gee, great, kill all my friends, but uh, he's he's at least a knight. He's one of honor. For those of you who don't know, Sir Tomas Waverly is a bard and a fighter / knight, and so he kind of bonds to doesn't believe in the whole Heronius thing, but he gets it. And then I'd probably throw Kiffy in there just because Kiffy has some virtue to him as well, and he's played by Mike Conan. So those are the two I probably team him up with most, and I enjoy the most.
Okay. Well, very good.
Come on, you got to ask. You got to ask the follow up. Who's the person I hate the most?
I did not put that in there, but it begs to be asked. So, who is your least favorite teammate?
It's got to be Yarn. I mean, who are we kidding here, right? He is the guy that's always like, I need more magic. Need more magic. All right, great. Get magic. And then, I get it. His character is consumed with magic. He's playing it perfectly. I'm not disputing how Russ is playing as a character. But from my standpoint, and where I am on this side of the chair, Tomas is not a big fan of. I'm not even going to try his full name. His name's Yarn. So we'll just go with that.
Right.
You can go ahead and throw his full name in there if you want to.
I can't. I just can't. Something Grimmer, Tolfin, Richtofen. I don't know. It's crazy. Okay, so.
Well, this comes from, I will throw this for people who don't know, Russ is a linguist. So for him to throw all these different types of languages and things together and pronunciation. That's him as an individual. I love him for it because he is great to talk to, great resource. But man, I hate that name.
Okay, so on top of all this, because you've already once changed your characters, if you could change your character's race and class, what would it be and why?
Wow. You know, so my favorite class is tends to be the bard. I call that the campaign derailer because back in the older systems, when I was playing first edition, if you ever got to the level of playing a bard, you were like, "Wow, I've got a 8th level thief and this level fighter and this level magic user." That was something to do back in the day, and not so much today. Now it's a class that's out there, but just the knowledge and everything like that the character brings to the table is can derail campaigns. It can because I already know this. Well, let's do this. I made a great roll, and I'm a big player in luck, so that's good. But if I were to play a new character right now, I would probably play a sorcerer right now if I could bring him in at the same level as the party, just to derail the magic use that's currently going on. I'd do a sorcerer so he couldn't use my spell books. I would, uh, and you know what? If I were doing a sorcerer, I would love to play a drow sorcerer. I would do like they did in the episode of Community and play all the games in blackface if I were a drow, but that probably wouldn't go over well either. So I'll just go with just a high elf sorcerer. Probably be where I'd start. But if I
Okay.
get away with an evil character, I'd play a drow wearing a hat and disguise or something like that. That'd freak out the party.
Okay, that's a pretty good answer. Okay, so here's another hard hitting one. What has been your greatest challenge in this game, if any?
Mm. I'll be honest. Up until when you started updating the NPCs regularly, and now you're starting to put uh, pictures of what the NPCs look like, was tracking all the NPCs, which is something I think you've done a great job. Is you came out here and you've given us a fleshed out campaign. Let's work with it, and it's something that is I'm starting to work on the campaign that I'm hoping to kick off here at the end of, or excuse me, at the beginning of August. I'm putting the NPCs out there early so you guys can know who the NPCs are and kind of roll with it so it's more fluid. Because I think that's the hard part for any campaign game. You move from country to country, you don't know somebody. But I always like the old 70s and 80s TV shows at the beginning when they're doing the opening credits and they would show somebody's face and you're like, oh, I can't wait to see who that guy's playing. And I'm kind of trying that out with my own campaign. So keeping up with the characters now that you're updating and putting graphics out there with the characters' faces, it's a lot easier to keep track of.
Okay, good. That's also good for me to know, so that I know I'm on the right path here.
Well,
Okay.
well, Brian, how
Yeah.
many NPCs do you think you've introduced us to in this game so far?
Ooh.
In 33 sessions, or 34?
34.
In 34 sessions.
I would have to actually bring up the list of all of my NPCs to be able to count.
Yeah.
I'd say probably close to 50, maybe.
Wow.
I mean, there's a lot. I mean, there's some that you guys may have totally forgotten about.
I think Toby's going to be one of them. They're all going to forget. He's going to come back and kill them in their sleep.
Oh, I'm sure Toby has grand ambitions. Don't worry.
Oh, believe me. What are you telling me? Worry. I know Toby has grand ambitions. I created him. I know. I am Toby Stein's master or whatever.
Okay, so how do you feel about how the campaign has progressed?
For me, I think it's great. I know some of the players are more into dungeon crawl hack slash, which is a different kind of game. I think we've uncovered a lot of political intrigue and moved around a lot. And so for that case, I think it's gone great because that's the kind of game I like. A lot of movement, a lot of country jumping. I was talking to Albie just the other day about the next campaign, and I did say it's going to be kind of like a Game of Thrones. And at some point, probably not in the first couple sessions, but I would not be shocked if the party splits up in my game, and I'm encouraging it so that one part of the group goes and searches out one part of the world, almost like Game of Thrones. And you and I were talking the other day. I think probably the hardest thing that you have to manage is we just have so many characters, whereas I like light characters, so it's quick and fast, and four, 3 players on the screen, and we're rolling. You kind of have the downside of there are 6 of us, and everybody's got to get their airtime, and I'm not saying we're all fighting for airtime, but everybody wants to be included, right? And that's hard to do in a 3-hour adventure. So
True.
it's one of the challenges.
Oh yeah. Okay, so and this is our last question of the evening. So at the at the conclusion of the Princess of Celene, would you consider signing on for another campaign? If I was DMing,
I would.
You wouldn't.
Right. I'll say this.
Guy.
With my own game coming up, I 100% one I would sign up. That's without question. But one of the things I really like is your DMing style. And for me, and I think I mentioned this to you the other day, in my game that's coming up, my wife Stephanie's going to play, and the players that I picked to play in the game are really the people that, two of the people I grew up with. We mentioned them earlier, and you. And I said, who better to teach her to play D&D? Because I suck at that shit. I'm not a teacher. I'm more of a fly by the seat of his pants, do what he's got to do, and go from there. So I really wanted to turn you guys into the teachers for her. And obviously you're doing something right that I would actually include you in that. So yeah, I'd sign on in a heartbeat.
And I do appreciate the invitation for your campaign. When I saw it, I was extremely excited. Like you had talked about, there's not really you don't really see a lot of things concerning the theocracy of the Pale, and that was exciting. I was also kind of excited about the whole idea. I don't know if I'm still the pick for the wizard, but if I do get to play the wizard, looking forward to that. If not, I'll play whatever. I'm pretty good. I'm pretty good about it.
The way it currently broke out is it's the core classes. It's a fighter, it's a wizard, it's a cleric, and a thief are the 4 classes. We've got a 5th person. Albie's jumping in because he has some medical issues, so he's kind of like the sideline character that we'll bring in as an occasional NPC player-ish kind of player. But yeah, I'm excited about it. And yeah, you're the wizard, so you get to be a spellcaster. What are you gonna do?
Of course, being that it is the theocracy of the Pale, before I realized what the scenario was, I was really thinking about going the necromancer route, but I don't think the theocracy would be too keen about a necromancer roaming around with their with some of their best and brightest. So I'm still kind of kicking around which schools I want to kind of stick to. But I'm extremely excited about it. It sounds like it's going to be a very good time.
Well, so one of the key pieces, I don't think I've told a lot of people this, is I'm trying to do this game to show other DMs that you don't need to buy WotC products. There's lots of great material out there. And out of that, I actually reached out to Rob Kuntz. We all know is one of the original Greyhawk guys. He's the only living one. By the way, WotC could not be bothered to ask him any questions for their 50-year anniversary book. You'd think here you have a great resource, but that's a whole nother podcast. I'm going to put that out there. But I reached out to him, and he was very gracious. I said, I'm thinking about running a game here, and I was questioning of placing this in this region, and it feels like it would work. And he actually went out of his way to do some research for me in his old notes, pull somebody else together and say that's a, I don't want to say he said it was a great place to put it or anything like that, but he kind of did the wave the hand blessing thing, and I'm really, really, really happy about that. And by the way, how often do you get it? Well, he's two of the original D&D crew that I met. Mike Conant and I met Gary Gygax at Gen Con, and that was one of my highlights of my D&D career. He's super gracious, and before he passed away, this is just as good to me, because to me it feels like it's right in the wheelhouse where I've placed it, how I'm playing it, how I'm setting it up feels really good, and I'm really looking forward to it.
That's wonderful. That's wonderful. Have you given any thought to maybe, did you want to live stream it, or are you thinking about just doing recordings, or are you just doing audio?
Well, the first couple games I think are going to be recorded. I gotta get my figure. I gotta get my stuff figured out. We all know, I mean, you're a level behind us. Currently, I'm in the process of getting this square, because not only do I have to create one studio for me, but I have to create one for Stephanie. So she's getting the better one upstairs, so she can, knit with the bookcases and everything like that. Yeah, that's kind of her domain, and I'm down here in the basement. But it's, I think it'll be interesting as we carry it forward. And the first couple episodes, I'm trying to tie a lot of multimedia to it, and to pull that off right. The first episodes, until I get it right, have to be recorded, unfortunately. And then after that, one of the things I plan on doing is having feedback from fans live during games. So we'll be out on Twitter or other social media throwing some stuff out there, see if people want to, try to add a little bit of chaos to the game, or throw a boon somebody's way. Hey, Brian's doing great over here. Let's give him a +1 mace. He's a fucking wizard. Why does he need a mace? I know, it's funny, isn't it? So that would be me. So
Okay. Okay, that sounds wonderful. It sounds like it's going to be a very good time. Alrighty. Well, before we wrap it up, is there anything else you'd like to say? Is there a message you'd like to put out to our listeners?
I think we're in this weird time for D&D. It feels like we're in a make or break moment. I had a great resurgence during the Stranger Things period, and there are lots of things I could go on ad nauseum how Stranger Things was my life earlier, but and down to literally the town Bob and Mike and I lived in is the canon town that Stranger Things is set in. We live just north of there. To the point of, in their canon, the mall, that's Starcourt Mall, is the mall we went and played at and arcaded and everything like that, which is kind of a weird story. But we're at this weird time with, we have people that have kind of been touristy in the role playing industry, and then we have people that have been playing forever. And WotC's basically siding with the touristy people and ignoring the people who've been playing forever, their customer base. And you don't have to give WotC your money. There's plenty of material out there with an easy conversion. As a DM, you can fake it till you make it with the resources provided. Um, over 200 adventures, published adventures. Dungeon Magazine, which ran for what, 12 years, I think. There's tons of material out there. Don't give WotC your money. Vote with your wallet, and tell them that you don't like where they're going with whatever ideologies or policies they're putting forward, and just be, enjoy your game the way you want to play it, not how somebody tells you to play it.
It's good advice. Excellent advice. I totally agree. Alrighty. Well, folks, thank you all very much for hanging out with us this evening and getting a chance to meet Tomas Waverly. Uh, and I believe hopefully within the next couple of weeks, we'll have another player join us here in the interview room once we get that all figured out, and we'll make sure to announce it. And you will, of course, be able to see it on YouTube. And eventually we'll also be able to hear this on our iTunes streams. Actually, this one might end up just showing up as a bonus episode for people. So watch your feeds and things of that nature. If you happen to follow us on iTunes, you'll be able to see when this pops. And we would love to have your feedback. You can either leave a review on iTunes, or you can also drop us a note in our Discord server. We do have the Mystic Syndicate Discord server. You can find us there as well. And you can also reach out to us on Twitch. We are there as well. We do our live streams from there as often as we can. So I think our next game is it next week?
I think it's next week.
Yeah.
By the way, for a challenge, as you're looking for next people, I want to hear Russ on here. I want to hear him answer the hard questions I'm throwing at him. What kind of crazy wizard is he? Is he a demented wizard, or is he a book learned wizard? I personally think he's more like Sam in Game of Thrones. He's just this pondering putz that doesn't do anything except fireball. All right, who can't do fireball? A couple more levels, I'll do fireball. What are you talking about, man?
He won't be the only one. That's true.
There we go.
That's true. All right, folks. Thanks again, and we will chat with you later. Have a good night, Ed.
Thanks, everybody. Thanks, Brian.
All right.
You need walkout music.
I do. We do have walkout music. Yeah.
Oh, really?
It's playing right now.
Is it Randy Macho Man Savage? Dun, 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 dun.
That would be hilarious. Trying to remember what I know the song, but it actually has a name, and I can't remember what it's called. Is it like
Pomp and Circumstance?
Pomp and Circumstance. Thank you. Yeah, I knew somebody would know it.